already. But before we get started, I'm going to open this can of Coke. So there we go. ASMR time. And also Coke all over the keyboard time. Oh God, don't explode. Blimey, that is a strong one. Didn't go everywhere. Gotta be good. A fine vintage. Right, so today I have been carrying on with the weird memory stuff that we were seeing on Wednesday, which I'm referring to as fragmentation, but it doesn't exactly fit how I would expect memory fragmentation to work. But what I've been playing about with today is, you might remember on Wednesday we added the Megapool, which was the sort of the single overall memory arena that all the other memory arenas are allocated from, basically to reduce the number of times we ask the OS for memory down to 1, because it was behaving strangely even when we were only asking for, what is that, like 8 things. So yeah, and then what I've been looking at today is exactly how much memory each allocation takes. So that's sort of what this is telling us here. So the really straightforward one is when we use the Megapool, because we control exactly how that works. So this all makes perfect sense. Initially there we're allocating a 1.3-ish meg buffer for the Megapool, so that's for the entire program will fit in that. From that, we're then allocating a 128k-ish buffer for Scratch, and that goes at the front of that allocated block. And then the next block is about 98k, I guess that is. That value there is exactly that plus that. So the audio init pool goes right after the Scratch pool in memory. There's no gap, which is exactly what I'd expect. Now what's interesting is if we then turn the Megapool off and go and have another look, it behaves slightly surprisingly. So I've actually changed, this wasn't the original numbers, I've since updated these. What I actually saw originally was what I expected, which is that this one is, you can see there, that's taking up 128016. That is 128016 bytes further along in memory than the Scratch buffer was, which is the size of the Scratch buffer plus 16. That doesn't surprise me too much. I would expect there would be some amount of overhead with each allocation, and 16 bytes seems kind of reasonable, I guess. Depends precisely what the DPMI needs to store, of course, but sure, 16 bytes, fine. I don't care about that. Now, what I did find originally, this is currently at 104. It was previously at like 62,000. So when we came to allocate this global pool, there was a mysterious like 62k gap after the Animimage pool, which was weird. I didn't know where that came from. So I've tracked that down. Thankfully, the 62k seemed vaguely familiar to me, which gave me a good guess to begin with. Oh, hello there, Beam. I didn't even notice you'd come in. Here for the tea and biscuits. Yes, I've actually finished the tea and biscuits. I've moved on to the Coke now, but fair enough. How are you doing today? You having a nice, quiet-ish Friday, I hope? Oh, actually, it sounded like things were on fire earlier in the week, so I hope it's quiet. Oh, I've woken up the cat. That'll teach me to talk loudly. Look, there's food down here you haven't noticed. Look, oi, furry, look. Don't meow at me, look there. No, not at my finger. Look at the thing I'm pointing at. You've just walked over it. Oh, you'll find it yourself. Fighting with AWS, that's what it's for. Yeah, that's its main function, is to be fought with. I find AWS, I can never find the same thing twice when I use AWS. Go, that's a useful thing, I'll set that up. And then the following day I'll go and find it and I'll be like, where Where is it again? I've set up an API gateway to expose internal services securely to our developers. Sounds fair. So true. Oh, you found it. Well done, Cat. For somebody that is for a creature that is so entirely food motivated, you do leave food lying around a lot. Thankfully, it's dry food. Anyway. Right. Yes, so I don't know if you even caught any of what I was wittering about. I didn't see when you came in. But, yeah, I'm continuing to track down the slightly mysterious memory holes. So, yeah, I was in the middle of explaining that I found that was a much bigger hole earlier. It's much smaller now, because I found out that it was caused by... There's the engine. One of the things... God, this looks so horrible in a big font. There's one. There's a timer interrupt handler and an input interrupt handler. And both of these interrupt handlers cost... Where is it? Allocate IRET, that's the one. Both of those calls cost about 31k each, which would explain why I had a 62k gap here, because I was calling them right after the anim image pool was allocated. So that's a little bit odd, because that's obviously not incorrect. I need to allocate that memory. Love that you spell out OKO instead of OK. Yeah, that's true. Oh, hello. No, and why do I have to argue with you every time I stream, little cat? You can't come up here, because I'll never get you off until you've bitten all my fingers off. You can't come up, darling. I know. Yes, very good. What was I saying? She's totally going to jump up in a second. Don't even think about it. I've completely put myself off now. Cats seem to have an innate sense that they absolutely do. Yet she has been perfectly sound asleep for the past 40 minutes on the sofa. And I've walked past her, I've opened and closed doors, I've even come into the room with biscuits, and no effect. The minute I start talking, she's like, wait up, what's going on? Why am I not involved in this conversation? Do you have an opinion, Dora, about this memory allocation problem? Oh, you've switched my Linux computer on as well. Thanks a lot. I really do need to put cardboard over that power button, don't I? What a pesky cat. Anyway, I'm going to pretend she's not there. What was I talking about again? So, yes, so these interrupt handlers cost about 62k in total. But that's not incorrect, and it's not new. Those interrupt handlers have always been there. What's interesting is, if I, as I've now done, that's what these numbers represent, if I move those interrupt handlers, the initialization, to the beginning of the program, this program now runs on a 4 meg machine where it didn't before. So it does seem to be kind of fragmentation related, in the sense that if I allocate 64k at this point in the program, by the time it gets here, it can't find a space large enough for... It's bigger than that, actually. It's like 800k for the game. But if I move that 64 allocation to the beginning of the program, it's fine. Which is a bit odd. But it makes me feel slightly better, because at least I've got some notion... I've got a bit of an idea, at least, of where the fault lies, or at least where the cause lies. Rather than just being suspicious of the DPMI, that seems to point directly at it, which is better. But yeah, so it does mean rather strangely that all that work I did on Wednesday to do the Mega Ball, turns out we don't technically need. Because what the Mega Ball did as a side effect was it allocated all the memory for the game before the 64k, 62k was allocated for the interrupt handlers. So it basically just changed the order of the allocations. guess that makes sense. Is there a reason we have to use pools rather than just make a struct with static arrays and casting a large heap allocation to a pointer? Probably not. I'm just trying to think. I think if we did have a big static block, I think I just probably automatically assumed that wouldn't work because I'm thinking of 16-bit DOS code, where if you did that in, without a DOS extender, it would just not run. So I think I just automatically assumed that wouldn't work, whereas I think you're quite right. If I were to just statically allocate a big fat lump and just, have pointers in there, or pointers into it, it would probably be fine. It's kind of interesting anyway, just sort of working out exactly what's going on. So what was I about to do before I started streaming? Because that's still slightly mysterious. I still don't know what's taking... Oh, cat! Hang on. Down. Go on. Move your bum. Pesky girl. Imagine what my Zoom calls are like. Excuse me. I was saying, yes, we've still got this slightly mysterious 104 bytes here. And then there's a 16K one, 16K-ish one here. And we go from the title into the title screen into the front end. And I'm wondering if that or either one of these is something to do with, like, maybe file handling. Because that globals, that's going to be the first time. Actually, no, we haven't. We won't have. No, that's what I was going to do before the stream started. Are there any frees happening that might leave holes? That was my first thought. Was that'll be what it is. Because that's like such an obvious sort of thing in a sense with memory fragmentation that you're allocating X, Y, and Z, and then you're freeing X, and it's leaving a lump behind. And I think that's another one of the reasons why I used memory pools in the first place, was to avoid exactly that problem, because I knew how limited the available memory was going to be. But that was half the reason I started all of this testing, and indeed the reason I started writing this rather wacky lump of code. Which was this. Yeah, there we go. We're doing it there. It's commented out at the moment. But that was a deliberate test. Like, what happens if I allocate a bunch of big blocks and then I freeze some of them and then I reallocate some other ones? And it behaved perfectly nicely when I did that. It didn't do anything silly, which is what I assumed it was doing. Just leaving a 64K hole here and there. But it doesn't seem to be doing that. And yes, what I was just about to do before I started streaming was I had, somewhere down here, I had just switched off the very first file access. Because I'm wondering, when you first do an fopen and you start reading data, obviously it's got to have some sort of buffer. And I'm wondering if that's... I mean, I would have thought that was statically allocated again. But I really don't know. So... on the off chance that it isn't, I've commented that out to see if taking out that first file access, that first file read, gets rid of the mysterious, what would that be, 104 minus 16, or 94, 88 byte gap here. Right, let's finish building. Could you hook into malloc print whenever it's called? Find unexpected allocations. Again, unless they're actually at the OS level, I mean OS in inverted commas, there aren't any. It would be interesting though, because that's essentially what I'm doing here is trying to guess where there might be some allocations happening. Errors. Let me try this. Just updated that. Let's get rid of the log first. Right, this is gonna have to go into game and then come back out again. Fine, fine. Some people use linkatrix to inject their own versions of function. Interesting. Exit. Don't know the incantations myself. No, my feeling as well is I have a suspicion that it's probably more involved in DOS. From, purely based on, I think you watch moral recordings stuff as well, don't you, doing all the reverse engineering. And yeah, it sounds like with the reverse engineering there's a lot of sort of fiddly nonsense around sort of DOS memory, so I'm not sure. Yeah. Right, okay, so log text. What does this say? Okay, these numbers look right to begin with. B9BDO, D8FEO, F10BO, FB918. Okay, so that's still out by 104. So it's nothing to do with the file read then. Interesting. And presumably when we come into the front end, which is this guy, 12A368. Yeah, that's a 16K gap. Because yeah, that whole sort of concern about memory fragmentation is why I went and modified the MICMod source to make it use my custom allocator instead of calling malloc directly. And that, I don't think that was... I mean, it's obviously not responsible for this problem, because this problem's still happening, but MICMod definitely was like sort of worst case for allocations. It was allocating 8 bytes here and 11 bytes there, and then deleting the 8 bytes and allocating another 22 bytes. And like there was a lot of dynamic memory allocation happening. To the extent that I know, because my memory pools deliberately don't support freeing, because the idea is you just use up the pool and then you throw the whole pool away. And so I do know that we're actually wasting a small amount of memory for MICMod, because it uses a bunch when it first initializes that it then frees. But I can't actually free that. So we just have to pay the extra for that. But that's not what either of these are, obviously. Either of these are, excuse me, showing the wrong thing on the stream. That one intrigues me a little bit more, just because it's... Well, I don't know. 104 in itself is interesting. It's sort of... The problem is it's also one of these things, it's an area that I'm not that familiar with. Like, for all I say, it doesn't surprise me that it's 16 bytes out for these allocations. I couldn't tell you why, the DPMI allocator needs to do that. I just feel like I've heard that being a thing. There being some level of overhead in a memory allocator. And 16 bytes seems a reasonably round number for that. But yeah, 104 isn't, and neither is 104 minus 16. So that is a bit peculiar. And that is after anim image, which is at the end of the engine allocation, which is up here. Anim image, there we go. And after that, we're calling video in it, which it isn't doing any allocations itself, but it does do one slightly strange thing, or potentially strange thing, which is video. Yeah, buffering, I think it's called. Yeah, no, that's not even a function. That's just an offset. So that's not allocating anything. I thought maybe that value we got back from calling a function, but we don't. So yeah, so there's definitely no allocations in the video code because it doesn't need to allocate anything. Nope, so there's nothing else here. Which takes us to here. In fact, I should uncomment this again. some MICMOD based faff here. But again, all of MICMOD's memory handling goes via the pools. So if MICMOD was doing anything with memory here, we'd know about it. I think that just sets a pointer. I feel compelled to check. I actually think it might not be needed anymore. Yeah, just sets the pointer to one of those statically allocated structs, so that doesn't matter. And then we go into init levels. So actually, my suspicion is that isn't anything, that 104 or 88 isn't the game. Because one of the other things I'm vaguely aware of, but I don't understand, I don't know the details of, is like memory alignment is a thing. And I don't know if when you're writing a memory allocator, it's important to sort of align on really crazy sized boundaries, I think 4K boundaries or something silly like that, or and we happen to be 104 bytes away from the nearest boundary or something like that. But what I was going to suggest though is I'm willing to bet if I comment all of this out, which means there is still some code, the video in it is still happening. But otherwise, there is nothing happening in between allocating the anim image pool and the global pool now. So it'll be interesting to see if we still get a 104 byte gap with that code taken out. Some allocators hide headers before the return memory. I think at least you'd have fields for size and breadth. Yes, that sounds fair. Because I think, yeah, when I was doing the MICMOD changes, what was it doing? Yeah, so when you initialized MICMOD, it would do a whole bunch of allocations setting itself up. And then when you came to load a music track, it would allocate a bunch of memory for that. And so initially I'd had it so that there was a sort of a global MICMOD pool. And then when it came to allocate the music track itself, that was assigned to the current modes pool. But I found that it did this really annoying thing where it would want to free and reallocate something from the global pool, something that it had set up at initialization. Once you loaded a track, it didn't like that anymore. It had to throw that memory away and build it again. And because that was in a different pool, it completely screwed my code. And it caused rather horrible crashes. And so, yeah, for a little while, I did actually add that functionality to the memory pools here, actually having a little header so that we could sort of identify when MICMOD said, I want to delete this. If it's in this other pool, then actually that's fine. And that ended up just, obviously, it didn't really work anyway. And so I can't actually remember how I fixed that, now that I come to think about it. Interesting. I know I came up with another solution for it anyway. That's rebuilt, isn't it? Presumably. Take that out. Put that back in again. Update. No, get rid of the log first. Skip. Just fix the graphics at that point. Restart. Blah, 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 blah. Get on with it. Okay. Right. walls have moved. That's slightly strange. Oh, I guess because I've commented code out. So I guess that's probably... is there static data in here? With stuff to do with argv, maybe that's relevant. Okay, this presumably accounts for the change. Okay, so I'd probably better write these new values. Zonk. B9 Leo D8 DE0 F0 EEO FB6 C0 115 Well, that's 256 bytes, isn't it? 200 in hex. I misremembered that. 12A168. Right, calculator. Where's my calculator gone? There it is. So, D8D0 minus B0 is 128016. That's the same. F0E0 minus D8D0 98512. That is the same. FB6V0 minus F0E0 is 43024. I'm looking at the wrong one. Which one have I just done there? Back to the FB60. I'm looking at the wrong one. 43024. 43024. That is correct, suddenly. Oh. So it is that code. Something in that code that I've just commented out is causing an 88-byte jump. What's that then? I don't think it's that, because we had that working, or taking that out earlier didn't seem to make any difference. Okay, let's prove that. Oh, music's finished. I have to be careful with what I pick in the background music, because my last dev stream is the only stream I've ever done that had audio muted in it. It's about 2 minutes in the last stream that I'm not allowed to play. Brilliant. I look back through, and there's one part where the audio is removed, where I say something like, "Oh, wait a minute, I know what this is," and then it's muted for the next 2 minutes. It's great timing. Anyway. I can't remember. I have a feeling that I find the Lemmings music a bit irritating. I'm going to give it a go, though, because I like Lemmings. Yeah, okay, I guess. It's a bit loud. Yeah, I think I can cope with that. Right, okay, that's building. That's built. So, back to here. Say I can cope with that. I'm not sure if I can. It's fine, it's fine. Stop thinking about it. Eject, back in there. Date. It's another one where I probably should have picked the Amiga version anyway. that's updated. Get rid of the log. Run it again. No. No, I can't cope. Right, tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to go with this instead. There we go, that's a bit better. Right, back to that. Skip. That's not too loud. No, that's all right. Skip, 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 skip. Right, what do the numbers say this time? Back to this. How interesting. We've gone back to the previous offsets, at least for the initial one. So that is, what's the difference out of interest? So I assume that's related to the file handling. Where's that value gone? B9, BD0. 0 minus, no, curses. Did I mean that? Yes, it B9, B0 is a difference of 512 bytes. Is buff size, by any chance, 512 bytes? I bet it is. Okay, that doesn't matter too much though. It's kind of interesting aside though, that if... No, hang on. I commented that particular instance of fopen_out, but there are other ones. So the 512 byte difference can't be because we're not using fopen anymore, because we still are, it's just not yet. Anyway, that's another memory-based mystery. One at a time. So that's now back to, well, it's up here, BD0, and then D8FE0, F10B0. Where's that one gone? FP918. Okay, so that's back to 104. Did we not just determine that this was not... Well, now I'm intrigued. Not you, you. So if I comment that out and then put that back in again, I think we're still going to get that 88 byte gap. So if I remove both of them, this is one of these sanity check things, like I just don't quite believe what I'm saying now. Forgot to delete the log, but I'm sure it'll be fine. It's not going to crash. So commenting out that code does mean all of our allocations are now 512 bytes earlier in memory, which is already interesting. I guess it could just be related to executable size. Anyway. Excuse me. That number looks different already. Oh yeah, because it's these numbers. F0 EBO, FP6C0. So that's a 16-byte gap. That's the wrong code. So both of those commented out, the problem goes away. If I uncomment that, did it come back? I tell you what, let's leave that out. Take that one out. So I'm assuming this whole thing is just, like, it's not something nefarious or incorrect, it's just me not understanding how this works in detail. But I'd just sort of like to prove that to you. It's good. No, I can't. It's the release build. Tried to quit the quick way, but I can't. Oops, that's not right. Right then. B9, BB0. So, okay, so now we're back to the 512 byte offset, which is presumably just relating to executable size. That's my guess at the moment, if either of these bits of code can cause it to happen. Now, do we still have this gap as well? I assume we do. B9BB0, D8FE0, F10BO, FB918. Yes, we do. What? Do they look aligned to those addresses? Where's my calculator gone? There it is. FB918. So that's aligned to 8 bytes. Presumably bytes, yeah. FB918. What was the other one? FB6C0. FB6C0. Well, that's, yeah, aligned much higher, but that's probably fine. If we took F10B0 and added the actual size, 98512, no, 43008, plus what we think is a 16-byte header, we would get FB8C0, which is more aligned than FB918 is. So it's not alignment. What is that about? Excuse me. It's not so useful. I was actually just having a look there, Beam, to see if there was a facility for me to override malloc, but not in a particularly sensible way, I don't think. Because of course, yeah, with the C way of doing it, where you just define your own malloc, as a preprocessor thing. But that feels like it wouldn't catch everything, potentially. Interesting. Okay, I'm going to stop looking at this one because it's not really going anywhere. And it's also a tiny gap. That one's huge, comparatively. 16K inexplicably lost between the title screen and the front end. Because it's difficult to see a 16K gap. I mean, apart from the fact that that pointer isn't aligned, it's impossible to see 16K as being related to alignment. At least I don't think so anyway. But then, I don't write allocators for a living, so I could be talking nonsense. I would say, I would wonder if I would question if the gap is related to the size of the alloc. But if we come down here, there it is. It's 12A368. Oh, of course it is. That's where they all end up. Yeah, because I mean, the fact that works sort of demonstrates that it can't be fragmentation, or that it's an alignment problem. Is the fact that it allocates because it only needs one of these at a time, and it deletes it, frees it when it's done, and then it loads another one. And each time they're loaded into the same location in memory. So that location doesn't change based on the size of the allocation. So that's not what that's about. So what is it about? Especially because no, take that back. I suppose. Oh no, hang on. No, there is something that we do that's unique to the title screen, which is this guy, which that is, it's not radically different, but it is slightly different. It's going to be in the header, OpenStream. No, it's file OpenStream, sorry. OpenStream is there. Cached is false. So, you see, I would expect that to be the other way round. The fact that we aren't asking it to f-read the entire contents in one go seems to be, I mean, that's the only difference I can think of. So then we've got the Allen stream happening, and then we're going to go back in here and we're going to be saying things like read stream, skip stream, etc. And that's going to be doing a bunch of fseeks and all that sort of business, but it doesn't really make sense to me that things like fseek or ftell or anything like that would cause it to spontaneously need to allocate memory. None of that would. So it doesn't really fit. But we can sort of prove it, because we can comment it out, as always. What will break if I comment this out? Many things, many things. Just in the render. Yes. Oh, okay. If it's not valid, you won't bother trying. That sounds good. How do you move on? You wait for somebody to press space. Okay, that'll work then. We can just do that, as long as it doesn't want to use that anywhere. Don't care about that. Oh, okay. Apparently we don't even need that anyway. Mysterious. Right, fine. Off build, go. Music's got irritating again. Don't have a very good choice this time. Still, if anybody copyright claimed this rubbish, I'd be surprised. Right, so that's going to give us a black screen for the title screen, or possibly the first frame. Yeah, first frame. Okay. And then we can skip past that. And that'll get us to the front end. That should be enough. Shove that over there. Go back to my numbers. Okay. So FB918, that's the globals, that's the title 115620, and we free that and we allocate. Interesting. If we don't open that file, we don't get a 16K gap. In fact, yeah, we don't get any gap at all, because of course the title's been unloaded. So is it something to do with file handling? I'd like to know what buff size is, because that's the size of the buffer that fread or will use, or fopen will use by default. It's not going to be 16K. It might be on a modern system, but it's not going to be in DOS. But let's prove that. Where are we going to put this? Not there. Doesn't really matter. Oh, I suppose after the engine in it, because we're going to put it in the log. Boxes equals. Is that an unsigned int? Seems likely. And I'm fairly sure it's just buffs. Hello there, cat peasant. Welcome in. What a very charming Amiga cat emoji that is. Well, Amiga cat, you know what I mean. I reply with Dora chasing a leaf. No. Amiga cat. What was I doing? Looking at buff size. That's what I was doing. No, that's the wrong button. Can't operate a computer. There we go. Buff says. How to use buffers with DOS. Buff says. That doesn't feature on this page, search engine, but thank you for trying. Hang on, just look for buffs then, because there's presumably a, there we go, C++ reference. It's a constant in standard IO. I think we're probably including that already. We are. So it, yep, it is all caps. That should be fine. Oh, hang on, it didn't tell me what. It doesn't tell me what type it is. Oh, well, I'll just guess that it's an unsigned int. And oh, I've got that one as well. I always forget. Stare. That's her standard face. Slightly judgmental. Take that out, put it back in again. This is printing out at the beginning, okay. Whatever, don't care. Finished. Get out. Wait. Ending the log. It says... do you know a second ago I said it won't be 16K, it might be on a modern system, but it's not going to be in DOS. It's 16K. I was not expecting that, but that is very interesting. Because now my Eye of Sauron points directly at DJGPP. So, by any chance, is it something like, if you don't ever do any file handling, you never have to pay the 16K, but as soon as you fopen something, it allocates 16K? Is that what's happening? And is that why we're seeing a 16-ish K gap there? What's the difference actually? Is that 64 bytes more than 16K? I think it is. 16, 456 minus 16, 384. 72 bytes. Damn. That is a bit of a coincidence there. A little bit more than 16K. But at the same time, that's not the first file read we've done. We've done, oh sorry, it's happening inside title. But we have already done several file reads in globals. So why does this particular file read appear to cost us 16K that we never get back? Screen. OpenStream, there it is. Oh, good lord. Oh, good grief. Oh dear. I think I might have found out what it was, and I think it might be me being a big idiot. Not sure what you're doing, but if I recall correctly, Incontrollable would set the debuff. I think that's true. But I think I've just realised that I don't need to do that. What I need to do is be less of an idiot. Because I'm wondering... Yeah, it would still exist. But it costs 16K though. Well, there's one way to find out. Stop muttering to yourself and write some code. Let's actually close the stream that we've claimed to open there. But hang on, no, that's what the Scratch close is for, because the open stream is just happening, is using the Scratch buffer in the background, but it is not necessarily closing the file handle? I don't think. Scratch closed is it's not closing any file handles. Okay. The music stopped. Need the music back on again. I get distracted by lack of music and by the music being bad, so it's been quite a distracting day so far. What are we going to listen to now? More worryingly, why is Paul Daniels in my recent searches? Oh, it was from the stream the other day. Never mind. I don't know. Just pick something. What sounds good? Dune 2. I like the Dune 2 soundtrack. Let's have that. No, not the film. Dune 2 DOS OST. There we go. That one. That one. There we go. Oh, that can be a bit louder. Pipe jump. That's Brian the Lion, isn't it? In a Santa hat. That's rather sweet. I was never sure if I liked the name Brian the Lion or if I preferred Rory the Lion. I just feel like all cartoon lions should be called Rory. Brian rhymes though, so it's, you know, it's 50-50, isn't it really? Anyway, enough nonsense. Back to this code. Can I just say close stream at this point? I think I can. Close stream. File. Close stream. Close stream. Close stream. No, I do actually need to pass the stream. Of course I do. Even though they're kind of all the same, because this is kind of a bit of a gross hack. Right, I bet that 16k lump vanishes now. Look at that lot. A whole bunch of Brian the Lions. Amazing. Oh, is that, oh, Amiga L, is that Amiga Live? Oh, that's done. Back to here. Take that out. Put that back in again. Update. Oh, I probably should have explained Cat Peasant as you did ask, and then I just didn't answer because I'm such a horribly unprofessional streamer. I'm working on the game that I made for the Docember Game Jam, which I'm now making the quote-unquote registered version with more exciting features and other such nonsense. But I have been, not exactly sidetracked because I needed to do the work, but I've been focusing on reducing its memory usage. Because it was kind of all over the map. And yeah, a lot of it seems to be related to how the environment I'm using is handling memory allocations. Anyway, I have just updated that, haven't I? Did I just update that? I'll update it again in case I didn't. Run! All Amiga, all the time. Sounds reasonable. Right, that's the video playing again. That actually is enough. I don't need to play the game. I just want to see how much memory moved this time. Show that over there. Back to here. Where's my list gone? There it is. FB918 is the globals, 115620 is the title, and then the next one's at 115620. Okay, good. Where did the music go? Oh, we're just getting a huge gap before you move on. Okay, fine. It turns out that 16k was my own idiocy, so that's nice. That's good, because that was the last big lump left. I'm assuming that's now 16 bytes. Well, of course it's not, because it's now back at 115620. So in fact it's now 0. So none of those numbers are relevant anymore. Okay, that's cool. That's still a bit odd, and makes me think it must also be my fault. was leaving the file open, it cost 16k, so it can't be that. I would like to know what that is, because it smells like a memory leak now. The other one essentially was, so it seems reasonable to assume that's what that is. But what am I doing that is going to cost like 88 bytes? We can get rid of that. We can get rid of those. That's anim image. Between anim image and globals being allocated. So, open the engine code again. Anim image is happening there. That's just printing out guff about the available memory. We can't exactly comment out any of that, because then we wouldn't have a screen. But I won't immediately think what in video would cost 80 bytes. Let's check. No, none of that's allocating anything. Neither is that. Well, unless there's some cost for the interrupt calls. I mean, if that's true, then we can't avoid it, because we got to do it to set the mode. And it doesn't do anything else. So that makes me think maybe I don't care. Unless it's one of them, but build screen, I would be horrified if that did anything other than copy some numbers. Oh, it's in the documentation. Full screen, no playing. Name set. Yep, fine. That doesn't do anything important. And then swap buffers is also not really going to do anything too shocking. That will be in the header though. Swap buffers. Yep. Ain't nothing in there that is going to be responsible for memory. So possibly it's that interrupt. If I commented this out and made sure we exited the program before we tried to draw anything, that could work. Let's try that. So that's the engine in it, which is there. We can carry on through all of this. I think, yeah, that's probably safe. In the globals, and then we die at this point, I think. 0. If it'll even let me build that. Clunk. Get rid of that. Take the CD out. Put the CD back in. Update. Take the log out of an abundance of paranoia. And then again, that should just quit. Boom. Now then, let's look at some numbers. Okay, we're in a slightly different position again, but let's just update these then. D9 3D0, D8 7E0, F from 8P0. I've missed one. Have I? Oh, I'm reading the wrong thing. Good. FP118, and that was it, because we don't get any further. So the question then is, calculator, what is the difference between FB118 and F08B0? It's, ouch, nearly pulled my headphones out, 43112, which is the same. That's still 104 bytes, which is slightly odd, but it's not the VGA setup. So that's good. It's not the interrupts then. Which is good, because I was slightly nervous about leaving that code commented out. Get rid of that. That just sets a pointer. Game state manager. Game state, there it is. That state is there, just sets that. Then at some point we come around the update. We realise we're not in the state that we want. No, none of this should be allocating at this point. Cat Peasant is now lurk mode. Fair enough, enjoy your lurk. Oh my word. Jabu's chickening in again. Chicking in. That joke doesn't work, but I've done it now, so. Hello there, how are you doing? Did Cat Peasant's daily chicken not work? Also, where's Dora gone? Oh hey, we got a clip that worked, Jerry. That's the first time ever.
No.
Oh, there we go. Delayed chicken. Writing a massive cube.
No, some fuck. No.
Did you just say sham fuck? Where's Dora gone? / me. I appear to have vanished. Oh, I see. Of course, yes. Wow. Swearing in 2 languages at once. Yeah, the Medora program's still running. It's just not visible. Hang on. This requires studio mode for fixage. Studio mode, and then I go down. Is it in here? Oh, there we go. That's fine again. Back to code. VMO. There we go. Have I been doing this whole stream without the vitally important Dora pin tuber in the corner? Tisk tisk. Right. What was I doing? Trying to decide where I think this 88 bytes has gone. Whilst at the same time strongly feeling that maybe I don't care. But I feel like it's the sort of thing that I should care about. I meta care about it, but I don't care about it. So we're continuing, Jabu, with the memory fun that I was having on Wednesday. Largely because I just couldn't stop thinking about how weird it was, and I wanted to get to the bottom of it. I think I've accepted the fact that I'm not going to get to the bottom of it, but I have at least got a little bit closer. So I've managed to get the game now to run without the need for the megapool, you know, the overall single allocation. I can get it to work with 9 or 10 allocations again now, and it's fine, which it really should have always worked. It turns out its major issue was at some point in the middle of all of these allocations, it was setting up 2 interrupt handlers, which cost about 62k. Now, it had more than enough memory to install those interrupt handlers, but somehow installing them at that point caused later allocations to fail. So I've moved them to the beginning of the program, and now it's fine. The total memory usage has not increased or decreased, but it's now fine. So that's still a bit odd. But, meh. What I've also noticed, because I'm going through and seeing, like, when we allocate these pools one after another, I'm seeing, like, where the gaps are between them. Because most of the time you get a 16-byte gap, which sort of makes sense, some sort of header on the allocation, that's fine. But for some reason, that one is 104 bytes. We found another one around here, which was 16K, but it turns out that was my bad code, so I fixed that one. And I'm assuming the 104 bytes here should be 16, so therefore there's 88 bytes unaccounted for. I'm assuming that's my bad code as well, but I can't find that. So that's a little odd. But it is also 88 bytes, so I'm maybe about to stop caring. It's not any of that. Actually, it's not going to be anything to do with the game state either. It's coming from an image into global, which is there. Gordon, hello there. How are you doing? Welcome in. I didn't really see that as a possible problem. How do you track it down by section? Oh, you mean the interrupt handling stuff? With these crazy tables is how I tracked it down. As I was just thinking, this is really something I should have done on Wednesday, but it just didn't occur to me. Was to actually just print out exactly where in memory the allocator is putting all of these allocations, because they should be, in inverted commas, right next to each other, allowing for a bit of space for headers. And as soon as I put all of those down, there was previously a 62k hole here. The globals were like being shoved 62k further up memory than I felt they ought to be. And as it happens, by total coincidence, when I saw that it was 62k, I remembered 31 meaning something, and I remembered it being the size of an interrupt handler. Now, I've tried to confirm this since, by Googling 31k DGPP interrupt, and I can't confirm it, but I remember finding it out from somewhere. So, I don't know where I found it out from, but it did. And sure enough, if I, at that point in the code, that was when I was installing the keyboard and the timer interrupt handlers. And I thought, well, I could install those right at startup. And of course, that was what, with the Megapool version, that I was allocating the Megapool before I allocated either of those interrupt handlers. And so it does seem to be sort of fragmentation related in some way, but I don't understand precisely what the mechanics of the fragmentation are, especially with such a low number of allocations. But if I allocate the two interrupt handlers and the Megapool at any point, that's fine. Without the Megapool, I can still get away with it as long as the interrupt handlers are allocated first, which is weird, but it works. But yes, and now I'm left with an 88-byte block that's unaccounted for, which doesn't massively matter, but it's irritating me, and I'd like to know what it is. And especially given I found another 16k gap, which I thought was the DPMI's fault, but turned out to be a big fat bug in my code. I would quite like to fix that, if that is also a bug in my code. Why does an interrupt handler need so much memory? Isn't it just function pointer? It's a very good question. It's something to do with protected mode, and like, so I won't bother showing the web page, but like there's, if you go looking at this, because obviously you need to do interrupt handling to do any kind of input, or actually for me first was the timer, because I wanted to get accurate frame timings, because I knew the plan was to be able to run this, you know, on a 386 or a Pentium. And yeah, when you first look up, okay, so how do I go about writing an interrupt handler using DGGPP, you come across an awful lot of pages by the DGGPP people that start with very long apologies. You know, that are like, okay, don't worry about it. This is complicated, but it's not that bad. And it seems like there are complications, and I think that's part of what the handling is about. I don't need to deal with them, it turns out, but you get, if you're sort of if you're writing like a TSR, some sort of driver or something, and you're trying to, you know, something that's being run alongside other programs, then I think it's a lot more complicated because you've got the idea of chaining interrupts. And especially if there's an interrupt handler in real mode, there's a 16-bit interrupt handler, and you're trying to add a 32-bit interrupt handler on top, there's a whole boatload of stuff to be able to pass off execution from your handler to the next one. I think. I'm absolutely not an expert. Indeed, I know as little as I needed to know to get the keyboard and the timer working. And it turns out, because I'm writing a game, which is expected, you know, to take over the computer anyway, I don't need to deal with any of that. I think in an earlier version of the game, I was so uncaring about the interaction with the rest of the system that my timer handler caused the system timer of the computer to go wrong. I didn't even notice that it did that. I read it on a forum about some other DOS game, and somebody was saying, oh yeah, this will be because of some idiotic timer interrupt handling. And I was like, yeah, I've probably done that. And I had, but I've since fixed it. Because yeah, that would have been quite funny if I had to put that as one of the known bugs when I released the jam. It's like, yeah, this will probably reset your system clock, but don't worry about it. I hope you don't allocate in the interrupt handler now. Or if I was allocating in the interrupt handler, I think I'd know about it. Yeah, that's the handy thing about having very little memory, is if you've got very little memory, once you get memory corruption, it's relatively obvious. You know, because you're not going to corrupt gigabytes of memory that you aren't touching. You're always going to corrupt something that you're looking at on the screen, more than likely. Like that daft clip I've got of where the game went into glitch mode because I'd accidentally started, I'd added a load of, essentially I was doing a load of printf, trying to write to the console, trying to write to standard out while I was in a VGA mode. And so it was just obliterating video memory. That made the game look great. Anyway. 104 bytes. / probably 88 bytes. And an image. Globals. Did we decide earlier? I think we did decide earlier that it went away if I commented this code out. And you know what? I don't need that comment either. That was my early speed testing. Which makes it easier to comment this out. Because I think if I comment all of this out, if I remember rightly, that gap disappears. Let's find out. At some point I'm going to stop faffing around with memory and actually start adding new features to this. That'll be exciting, won't it? Sometimes I forget that that's the purpose. Take the ZD out, put the ZD back in, and of course make a exciting intro FMV. It's going to be fun. I think we probably need, at a minimum, I think I need an intro FMV and 2 outro, essentially, so win and lose FMVs. Especially because the jam version of the game as it is now, when you win or get game over, it just says you won or puts game over on the screen. We definitely need something a bit more than that. Anyway. I don't need to go into the game for this. I can just quit. Doink. Shove that over there. Back to me numbers. B9, BD0. That's you. D8, FE0. F10, B0. Wow, okay. Oh no, I'm looking at the wrong value again. FB8C0. That's that one. Yes. So, I assume 8C0. Where's my calculator gone? Calculator. Can anybody do maths in base 16? I can't. I've worked with a couple of people who could. And it would be handy times like this. But I've got a calculator that'll do it for me, so it's fine. Minus F10B0 is 43024. Yeah, that's correct. 43024 is 16 bytes later than that. So that's the 88 byte gap removed if we comment that code out. So which bit is it? Now, I got confused about this earlier, so I'm going to write comments. If option handling and audio setup on both disappears. Back to the compiler. I can manage bitwise base 16 in my head most of the time. Actual maths, no. Can't even do binary in my head. It's still counting with accuracy. I mean, I think a lot of coders can do that one. I can do the, you can sort of amaze normies by telling people like things to the power of 2. Because I know most of those up to quite a large number. Because, you know, you sort of day to day, you come across them quite a lot. Doesn't come up very often outside of programming, but whenever it does, it's quite fun. Right, that's built. It's really just an excuse to describe non-programmers as normies there. Update. Get rid of log. And run again. Have a programmer calculator always nearby, pretty much necessary. Yes, that sounds fair. I just want to go to the front end, don't I? Text. Right. Look, back to my numbers. Do we see FB918 or FB8C0? We see FB918. So we've got a gap again. So it's you. Except that I'm fairly sure. I'll write this down due to confusion earlier. If options handling, but not audio setup. That's a terrible sentence. If options handling is removed, but not audio setup, that is exactly the wrong way around. If options handling is not removed, but audio setup is removed, reappears. I'm sure there would be a much nicer way of writing that sentence, but whatever. Right, now I seem to recall commenting one out, commenting the other one back. Come on, TextMate, that's clearly not what I meant. You are no mate of mine, TextMate. Thank you. I don't like TextMate. It's the least bad option I currently have available. I need to teach myself to use NeoVim. I think I was talking to you about this the other day, wasn't I, Bing? I need to get into that habit. You can use a mouse with it and everything. And then memorised to 16 bits with not much more. Yeah, fair enough. Oh, excuse me. Hidden keys are the best. I think I'd automatically assumed that I couldn't use anything. Again, Bean and I had this exact conversation the other day, but like, I always assumed, you know, that Vim and the like were entirely about keyboard shortcuts and like, as in they didn't support the mouse at all. And yeah, watching moral recordings using NeoVim, like that actually has tabs that you can click on with a mouse. I was like, oh, that's good, isn't it? Didn't know it was that good. Might give that a go. I've totally forgotten if I've uploaded this in. Yes, that's it. Oh, chat's happening, but I'm looking at this. Hang on, chat, hang on. So easily distracted, I'm deliberately not looking yet. Do this first, and then look over there. Move, stupid window. Right, back to here. 0, and then FB918, which is the wrong one again. So if either of these things is enabled, we get an 88-byte gap. That's a bit odd. Because if it was just that, I would blame file handling. I haven't done anything silly like options tries to open the file again if it's not open already or something like that. No, just returns a struct, so that's not doing anything. Oh, chat, forgot. A lot of people get hung up on using HUDGL instead of cursors, but once you're fluent, you probably won't be doing character-wise movement much. Why move the hand over to the mouse when you can just press a few keys in half the time? And relative line numbers and such. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I just have to train myself to get used to it or something. Yeah, that has totally thrown me off track looking at the other screen. Right, so both of these chunks of code caused that 88-byte gap to appear. Getting stuff out of options, which is just a struct. What happens in audio? I mean, again, no, it doesn't really make sense that even if this was allocating something, it wouldn't. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Num channels, mixing rate, music enabled. So much crap. Num channels? There it is. That just resets structs, if I remember rightly. Yeah. What's the other stuff? Mixing rate, music enabled. Excuse me. Mixing rate, that literally just sets a value. Oh yeah, I never did look into that again. It wouldn't actually matter though, because we've now got to check. Anyway, it's not the cause of the memory problem. Music enabled. We play silent. fun thing about Micmod, which is what I'm using to handle all of the audio, is you can only play sound effects if you're playing music at the same time. And so if you turn the music off in the game, it plays silence. True story. Right, play silence. What does that do? It does what now? If it hasn't been loaded, reload it. This is not the sort of code I tend to write in a DOS game, because this looks like a spontaneous allocation. And yeah, it's going to load the first time. Is that what this is? It's a bit odd that it's 88 bytes though. And does this account for it? I don't feel like that accounts for it. Let's prove it. This might break things, but I'll give it a go. Biggest risk is that you spend more time cultivating your config than doing actual work. Yeah, that sounds like, you know, that's what I tend to associate Linux with generally. I was a big fan of Linux when I was a student, when I had lots of time. Though I was reading somebody was making a very passionate argument for, what was it? Nixos, I was reading about earlier today. Oh, that sounded quite fun. But, yes, probably not just yet. If I move the cursor, you're going to try and play a sound effect. I think you're not going to be upset with it. Okay. Alright, seem to work, seem to work. Over there again. And back to me numbers. It says... Wait, what? Oh, why are these numbers all different? No, really, why are these numbers all different? How can everything in memory have moved? That doesn't make any sense. Well, I guess we'll write them all down and just see what we're up to. B90, D8DE0, F0ED0, FB6C0, really? Doesn't appear to be. Is it? Well, that must be globals. Okay, fine. And then that one is in the same place. Okay. Oh, don't suppose it matters though. Right. D. Calculator. Calculator. There it is. Plonk. FB60 minus F0EB0 is 43024, which is the correct number. So is it the load of silence? I mean, the mod file is going to be very small. It's not, it doesn't contain anything. How big is the actual file? That would be my next question. Where is the folder? There it is. Build, no, not build. Art, res, Music. Silent start mod. What size is that actually? 4K. Well, 1596 bytes. Quite a lot more than 88, to be fair. Might end up being 88 bytes inside MICMOD then. But even if it were, that would just make the state pool, it would just come from the state pool. It wouldn't move where the state pool is allocated. Unless there's an errant bit of MICMOD that is calling actual malloc instead of the custom one. That's possible. It seems like I would see it, like going into game. It's odd that that's just happening. Wait a minute. Yeah, no, that's fine. I would see it there because we're loading another track at that point, and then we're loading another track there, and all the way through. So why does that one cause an 88-byte jump? Comes from the audio init pool, which is way up here. So any data that's loaded by that silence is going to come from that chunk anyway. And even if it was somehow enormous and took up that entire space and that entire space and somehow, you know, pushed this out, the memory allocator doesn't know about that. So it wouldn't cause the memory allocator to push this down by 88 bytes. This must be somehow... This is deeply strange. Is it the play rather than the load? We just tell it to start. That's it. Oh, that's uncommented again. Right. Let's go back down to music play and we'll just comment that out. So every other part of like loading will still happen, we're just not asking MICMOD to play it. I really don't see that making a difference. This should be broken again. We should get an 88-byte cap again. Get on with it. B9, BD0, back to there again. Presumably because of the file handling. B0, where does the global pool end up going? The global pool is at FP918 again. So yes, we are now again using 88 bytes. So it's not the play. It is something to do with the load. But I can't really explain why it does either of those things. Where's the play silence gone again? There it is. So, with this uncommented, this load seems to cause this 88 byte gap after the memory pool, but it also seems to cause there to be an extra bit of allocation within the executable itself, causing all memory allocations to be moved slightly further down into memory, which would make sense if it was like the only file operation. You know, so if we took it out, we're no longer doing any file I/O, in which case, you know, we're not linking fopen, etc., so we don't need the space for the read buffer. But this is just one of many file operations. So it's odd that that would happen from this being removed as well. Stream does get closed. If it didn't, it would cost us 16k, not 88 bytes. Is it? Is it the simple fact that we're... No, because this is not the only place this is used. Anytime you load a music track, this will get used. Hmm. And even if it was, you know, a bug in this code that's causing a buffer overrun or something like that, it seems extremely unlikely that that would just cause the DPMI's memory allocator to shove down 88 bytes. If it was a buffer overrun, what would happen? Well, we wouldn't be touching the DPMI's memory. Oh. Maybe it'd be interesting to see what those 88 bytes are. That could be fun. Within certain bounds to the parameter of fun. Let's put that back. Okay. Comment this again. Excuse me. So init global is going to happen, and then at that point, I suppose global's will have to do it because it's got the pointer. Well, it's got the memory pool rather. Here we go. Init pool's happening there before we do any of this. Let's say Hmm. Uh, music's finished. What else can we play? What else is good? I'm feeling dinosaur-y. Dinosaur-y slash Stefan Peaky. It's remarkably quiet. Oh, there we go. What was I just going to do? Did I just rebuild? No, I didn't. I was in the middle of writing this. Okay, global memory, I think is the name of the pointer. Let's check. Yes, it's a white star. It'll have to be cast first and then do the site, which, I mean, this is kind of horrible, but, you know, it's fine. Want to write this to a file or what? I suppose I'm going to have to. I should have functions for that. Or I could just do it. Yeah. Right, bin. Binary. I can just write that down. But I can't remember the syntax for right. Pointer, size, number of items, stream. That's read. Pointer, size. Oh, it's the same. Oh, yeah. Pointer is buff. The size is 88 bytes. There is one 88-byte object. And the string is FP. Right. I probably don't have the right header included for that. Do I? Soon find out. I guess I do. Oh. Interesting to see if this crashes. Hello. The little red. That was a little bit strange, but alright. Really? It took you that long to write 88 bytes? I find that dubious, but sure. 88 bytes, have bytes.bin. Okay, oh, of course, I've now got the problem that I need to get the file off 86 box. I've not learned that I can't do that. Okay, so instead we will just run the DOSBox one. Because I assume the memory behavior is the same in DOSBox. There we go. No, you didn't see that on the stream. Never mind, I'm sure you'll cope. Bytes.bin, where have you put it? Is it in build? Yes, it is. Bytes.bin. There's my hex editor. Code, DOS game, build, bytes.bin. Okay. Where am I going to put this? this. Clunk. Capture. The window should be that. How big is that? Oh, it's not that, I think. Move that in the middle of the screen. Wow, that font is tiny. Can I make that bigger? Font size. Wow. I don't really want the window bigger, but alright. Right. Those numbers don't immediately leap out at me as meaning anything. That's a 1. 64, 228, 86, 17, 208, 184, 15. I'm not sure that helps much. No, hello. Somebody's come to life. Right. I'm going to feed cat, and I will be back in a moment. Right, that's the pussycat fed. Yeah, so there's no obvious sort of smoking gun in that 88-byte block. I was kind of hoping that it would be really obviously a mod file or something like that, but didn't seem to be. I don't really know what's going on there. But again, it is only 88 bytes. So, if it starts appearing elsewhere and it's much larger, then maybe I can investigate that separately. But as it is, I think I'm just going to cope with having an 88 byte gap. Yeah, all right. Now, the other thing I want to check then is what size is this? This is a 4 meg machine. If I reduce this down to 3 meg, let's not look at that so we don't get the beeping. Oh, I have to look at that because I need to go into the CMOS file. Excuse me. There we go. I can't remember if I left. No, I didn't. I'd like to switch that back on again because I think it's just neater, regardless of whether we need it or not. And then rebuild that. Those commands on it in the wrong place. Oh, the screen's gone entirely out of date. Ooh. Actually, so have I. Okay, that's weird. Is this updated? No, no, it's not. My microphone is apparently still on, but none of the screens updating. Has OBS gone a bit crackers again? Well, that's alive again. Okay, we can get rid of that. Literally every window has frozen as far as OBS is concerned. Just ridiculous. Anyway, right, I have to go through and just double click on everything and go, no, that window. One moment. There's Dora fixed. What else do I want? Terminal. And then 86 box will need doing as well. Presumably, yep, that's out of date as well. Cool, cool. Thanks, OBS. Good work. Right. Are we happy again now? We're happy again now. Okay, good. Right. I didn't rebuild. That's what, in fact, what I was about to do. Right, up to here. Get rid of that. Put it back in. Yeah. Update. Now, how much memory have we got? None. Oh, this is my modified config sys. This will be interesting then. Because I think that'll run. Yeah. And it's using the Megapool, so if it didn't have enough memory for the game itself, it wouldn't have got this far. So that's fine. So then the next test, I think it's still not going to fit into. Let's find out. Beeping ensues. Yeah, because that total XMS is, I think, too small. And you can, the DPMI will use the conventional memory as well, but and actually, the XMS plus conventional memory would be enough, but then minus the size for the XE is not going to fit. So that's not going to work. Yeah. Load of memory. Not terribly surprising. It's quite close though. Would be nice to get it to fit into 2 meg if it's that close. But maybe I should stop being silly and say, well, no, think of aim at 4 meg, in which case you've got a huge buffer to work with, rather than trying to fit it into 2. Okay, fine. Cancel that. I want to see if there's anything else I need to revert or check in. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. That, I suppose, is important. We'll have that. Oh, yes, that's the moving the interrupt handler initialization. That's important. The bug fix for the title screen memory leak. And then we've left that in. That's probably fine, I think. We'll have that as well. That's that one. Let me go back up here again. Anything else we can do today? I still haven't fixed that. Come to think of it, I've realised as well that it's not just the dialogue. The other bit of the game that performs terribly and that has no real justification for performing so badly is the front end, the menu itself. And it's for the same reason. It's double buffered, and it shouldn't be. I feel compelled to save that somewhere. That'll do. Okay, so if I wanted to just go ahead and rewrite the dialogue, I've said from scratch, but so the briefing state, we did all this the other day, we'll do it again. Oh yeah, well, it's the second thing to say if the back buffer is enabled. I think that was what it was called. Engine. Yep. Okay. Okay. We don't really need to do anything. Where is it? There it is. It's reading the script. Skip all of that. Actually, you can draw a full screen image. You're probably going to want to leave it on. We turn it off there, and then if we just make the assumption that it's just off for the rest of the mode, then we are going to call draw. Not showing. We don't do anything. That's fair enough. If we're going to want to animate the box on and we've got no double buffer, then we would have to redraw the background underneath the box and then the box. No, we wouldn't. Not when we're animating it on. We would just have to update the moving edge of the box. Which actually, I suppose, is... We've got to fill the box in as well. That's not going to be cheap. Yeah, we'd have to split how the box drawing works. And essentially, we just need to draw the bit of the box that we haven't already drawn. That's how we need to think of it. So, okay, what does draw box look like currently? Because I seem to remember. Yes. That's not going to work. Yeah, so in the initial state, we need to draw the left-hand side as well, but not on subsequent executions, which is the mildly faffy bit. Yeah, just needs splitting in two, doesn't it? So, and unfortunately, the bottom box animates from the other side, doesn't it? I think it does. I actually can't remember. Let's give this a quick run. Remind myself how that animates. I'm not going to appear on the stream. Studio mode. Where's the game gone? DOSBox. There it is. Punk. Skip. New game restart. So the top box appears from the left. It does appear from the right. Oh, it did. Okay. Go away. Yeah. Okay. So we sort of want to just say, we just want to draw left edge of box and a draw right edge of box. And then we can reuse both of those for both boxes. Okay. We're going to need both those parameters. Well, I'll just start with a copy of it for now. So, got the four corners of it, top and bottom lines. Do you know what I could do with? I could do with a screenshot of this because I cannot remember what it looks like. There we go. Ah, yeah, I remember this. It does, for some reason, you can't get a screenshot of it. I've probably got a screenshot of it. Oh, it's also not on the stream again. Thanks, OBS. I may have a screenshot of it already. Desktop. Space Cat Guff. There's one. Excellent. I do have a screenshot of it. Okay. Get rid of that. Make that a bit bigger. Actually, I am going to be right back in a second. Right, back again. Well, oh yes, we were drawing the left-hand edge of a box with very small top and bottom lines. Yeah, those are fine. Those are fine. Where's my image gone? It's there. Okay, that's what we're drawing. I see. Okay, now we also oh, I see. That's the left hand and the right hand edge, is it? It must be. Oh no, those are individual pixels. Ah, okay. So those are. Where even are those? Dark grey, light grey. Oh, we see. So that's not including the corners. Those are just the straight lines. I see. Yes, it blatantly says that there. Top and bottom lines. You just read that. Okay, good. The top and bottom lines, then we're doing the slightly rounded corners there, and then we're doing the left-hand side and the right-hand side. So this has got to go left, no, not that one. And then fill rect, that's going to be correct. Assuming fill rect behaves sensibly, which it may not. Is it in here or in the header? It's here. Okay, we do seem to be accounting for things not being 4 pixel aligned. I thought we might not be. Okay, very good. Got my windows confused again. Right. Tell you what I should do. I should. Where's a sprite gone? There's an ace sprite here somewhere. There it is. I should open that file in a sprite and then we can have a look at it. Where's my ace sprite window gone? There it is. Brilliant. That's out of date. This is all out of date. Fix that up. Accursed bloody OBS. Anyway, right. Not that. That. You see how that's different? Well done. Right, now go back to Sprite. There we go. So this is the dialogue screen, which is kind of difficult to get on screen at once here. And at the moment, every single frame we are drawing these top boxes, including the most important bit in terms of performance, including this coloured black background. And that's actually the bit that's most expensive because it's the largest area of pixels. And so what I'm doing right now is I'm splitting the draw of this box into two. So we're just going to draw that. And then we're going to draw this animated across, essentially smearing that black across the screen as we go. That's the idea anyway. Because that'll be much cheaper than redrawing that box every single frame. Right, back to the code, which I've now lost. I can't find TextMate. There it is. Okay. What are you doing, Daft Cat? Are you having fun? You're having fun, okay, good. Brilliant. Sorry, I'm being put off by Dora's having fun with post dinner, running around, sitting in a box, jumping out of the box, sitting in the box again, And, usual cat stuff. Constantly making an awful lot of noise while she's doing all of those things, aren't you? Oh, okay, fine. She's run off at high speed. She'll probably be back in a minute. Anyway, right. So draw top and bottom lines, draw on the corners. We are drawing a left-hand line and we are filling in the rectangle. Okay. And then we're probably going to have a very similar function for the right-hand side. Box. Right. I've forgotten something here, haven't I? Which is we are drawing the right-hand corner as well with this code, and we don't want to be. It's going to be like you, it's you, and you, you, you. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, get rid of those. Then in draw right. Top bottom lines are fine. We want to get rid of the left hand ones and the left hand line. That's still correct. Okay. So go down here and find where we're drawing it again. Actually, we're calling draw top box, aren't we? Right. Yes, top box appearing. No, we're not actually calling draw top box. Oh, I see, because it's right. We only call this when we're animating. I get it. Okay, so we are potentially going to need new states here, then, aren't we? Or we just put a check in. Yeah, okay. So that size of the box is going to be 10 times however long we've been in the state, clamped between 1, which would be 10 pixels, or 30, which would be 300 pixels. Okay, so okay, 0, box left, a top left. It's not going to be that size, it's going to be that size half, or half that size to arrange the words in the correct order. So that divided by 2 would do it. Or we do it more sensibly. I am going to be right back again. And that was a mild crash from the other room. I just went to see what Dora had broken. Thankfully, nothing. Right, what was I doing? We've got a size reasonable to leave that as it is because it is the size of the whole box. So let's then just say respect to that size equals size dot x. No, yes, size dot x over 2 size dot y. Now, no, it's always going to be multiplied by 10, so divided by 2 is always going to be correct. Okay. Never going to get a gap. Never going to get a gap that way. So that's the left size. And then some of them left size equals. It's actually the left size plus size x over 2, isn't it? Oh, hang on, sorry. This is the size, not the position. I was thinking that was like bounds. It's not. That's still correct, isn't it? Yes. So that's correct. Left, top left, size over half. So it's the same size again. Let's call that half size then. Also, I'm now deciding this is wrong anyway. Because we should just be drawing this as a fixed size. Because we know how big the box is. Let me just check. Oh, that image is exactly the wrong size. Correct a spread per minute. This image should be half the size of that. 50%. Nearest neighbour's probably fine. Okay. Because actually we only really want those first 3 columns. That would be fine. Okay. Code, 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 code. There it is. It can just be 3. 3. It's not really half size, is it? Let's go back to calling it left size. All right, so from the top left, we want 3 pixels, and that's the full size. Okay. And then that's just on frame 0. We don't ever want to draw that again. We do, however, want to draw the box right, which is going to be at K top box top left plus that offset plus wherever we've got to. So in fact, that's not really a size anymore. Or we work it out based on that. Can you do? I can't remember what I did with vec2s. Is there? Oh, you can add them and subtract them. Okay. I'm going to be coming back to that in a minute. Otherwise, well, it's size.x minus 3. Well, I've got 1, isn't it? Really? That's the size of it. That's about the size of it. And then my plots is top left plus left size, really. No, top left x plus 3. Yeah, well, box top left y. Because the y is the same, but we've moved along 3 pixels. The right size is 3 less pixels. Okay. could actually do with that animating a bit slower as well so we can see it. Okay. Do slower. Can we just chuck a sleep in? Is that the easiest way to deal with this? Probably is. Dora? It's no wonder that Linux machine is so unwell. You keep sitting on it and switching it on and switching it off. What a pesky cat. I'm going to get a pet rock. It's much less maintenance than you, isn't it? Isn't it, you little monster? No, you're not climbing up. You can't fit up here. You've turned the computer on again. Fine. Anyway, what's it doing? Breathing state. When we did the draw, I think we could just chuck a sleep in there. I think that'd be fine. I mean, it'd be horrible, but it'll help us see what's going on. Is it just called time asleep? I think it is. Yes. How long? 50 milliseconds. Music broke. Oh, God's sake. I don't know what is wrong with OBS today, but literally everything has disconnected. Every scene, every source, rather. Right, let me fix that. It's vitally important you hear the Lost Eden soundtrack. That one. There we go. Use that next again. Right, and use variable right x dialog 428. Where was that? 428 is that. Oh, okay. Yeah, because we don't use it. That is reasonable. And you presumably don't use left. Oh, but maybe it doesn't matter. Dialog 697. Right. Horse. Oh, yeah. No, that's using it. Okay. Back to the compiler. There we go. Right. Just getting paranoid here. Thinking the stream's died. Right. What am I doing? That's built. We just want to run the game. Disconnect. Reconnect. Update. So, what will look terrible here? A lot of things. Let's see what it looks like. I'm still only got 2 meg. Excuse me. Put that back up again. I fixed the audio just in time for it to finish. Oh well. Okay, let's see what this looks like. I'm sure it'll be horrible in a variety of ways, but see if this particular part looks red. Okay, and it's going to be very slow, I think. That actually looked almost right. It could do with being even slower. Skip, skip, skip. Yeah, and then everything else goes to heck, but that's not terribly surprising. Ah, and then we've left the, oh my word, then we've left the double buffer off, which we need to fix. Oh, good lord, sorry about that. Flashing stream. Right, put that back. Remember to turn the double buffer back on again. What's there? Okay, back to there. There did seem to be a slight gap though. What was that? Oh, well, okay, let's increase the delay because then it'll be a bit more obvious. 50. Find more tunes. Do you know what? Have we got the soundtrack for that? Because that was pretty banging. No, it's not that long. Okay. You can't go wrong with this one. Oh, hang on. The screen's gone weird. Let's go with that. Probably need to turn it down when it gets there. Oh, that's probably all right. Right, that's now loaded in the compiler rather. CD out, CD in. Excuse me, update. Run again. Okay, so we are missing an edge for some reason. Not an edge, we're missing like there's a gap between the two sides of the box. A bit strange. I suspect. In a minute. And that's also flashing, so can I get it off the screen? I can just go back to there. Be right back. Sorry about that. Right. Okay. Put this back on the screen for a second while I get rid of it. At least it stops flashing after that point. I also am going to switch this back over to the debug version so that I can quit more quickly. because it's annoying having to go through the menus. Don't need any memory debug. Okay. So what was a bit odd was that first frame. You know what? I actually would like a screenshot of that. Which of course you can't see. I think I got that fast enough. Not sure. Quit, just go away. Come on. Somehow this runs even worse under DOSBox than it does under 86box. It doesn't flicker the screen now. Get on with it. Good grief. Right. My quit command isn't working. Oh, I didn't rebuild it, that's why. Okay. Right, back to here, or rather here, while I find the image. DOS game. Build. Where's build? There it is. Oh, my screenshot command, screenshot key press wouldn't have worked because it was a release build. I will have to rebuild it. Okay. Again. OBS has lost it again. Tell you what, I'm gonna lose it in a minute. There's DOSBox. New game. Let's start game. Ooh, don't know. Well, whichever frame I got should be fine. Right, go away. Oh, it quit. Lovely. Now where's that image? It's here. Open it with Aseprite. And then switch over to Aseprite down here. Look. There we go. Interesting shape. Oh, I see. So that black line and that black line, I think, are considered vertical lines rather than part of the build. That makes sense because they don't line up there. Okay, so the fill is one, well, in a sense, it's odd that the fill doesn't line up with the rest of it. That's obviously a bug. But then also we've got this weird 2 pixel gap. Well, actually, sorry, 3 pixel gap. But then that sort of feels like that's because of the 3 that I'm having. which would be correct. So I don't know. Yeah, okay, so we've got a bunch of things we need to look at. Code. Where's the code gone? There it is. Anyway, right back to Dropbox. Left. Oh yeah, there we go, there's the black lines. Okay. So let me just check a sprite again, which I've now lost. There it is. Code. Okay, so this guy. Yeah, okay, that's why it doesn't line up. The maths is wrong, depending on how you look at it. Because it doesn't need to be. No, it doesn't need to be where it is. Excuse me. We can just do that and that make it line up properly. And why is it 3 pixels further over anyway? It's the right edge. Top left plus size, that's going to be right. The wrong DOS box again. There we go. It's running away with this. Okay. So U is OBS going to get confused when this spawns another DOS box X? I suspect it probably is. Then again, maybe not. Why is that a weird shape? Oh, I suppose it'll be a different shape when we go into the game. Yeah, that fits. Alright, skip that. New game. Restart, and then ready on the screenshot button. Ooh, that's actually more weird. Okay, quit. A sprite, a sprite. There it is. Oh, I see. Yes, I've fixed the wrong bit of code. That was good. Draw box left, draw box left, draw box left. There it is. It's not you that's broken. You were fine. It was draw box right. It was wrong. least. Right, I see, I think. How does this maths work? This mad jam written code. It's probably a bit loud. Plus 2 from the top left, that's fine. Oh, I see, yeah, but of course, right. Oh no, I understand why this doesn't work. Or why this has a weird issue. So, because we're accounting for the size of the corner, which we don't need to. X minus 1. Oh yeah, that's right. It's the U that's probably wrong. Just or you, no, was it in fact the lines that were wrong? Yes, that makes sense. They'll take 2 off them and 1 off them. Okay. God, trying to imagine pixels by reading code. Going slowly mad. Ooh, spam. Thanks, mate. Go away. Get on with it. So close. This bright. Wow. So the length of the lines is now wrong. So that fact is, yeah, it's this guy, isn't it? Didn't change that. Ouch. Yeah, in fact, actually, we should probably do the same with you, shouldn't we? In fact, is that part of the issue? That is x minus 2, okay. Look at that image again. Cool. So when we have a drawing 3, to x plus 1, I feel like that should be a 2 now. But 2 it is. Randomly guessing numbers. Ooh, nearly there. What does that look like? Aseprite. Reload the file. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So now, if I show Aseprite on the stream, clunk, that's what we're drawing at the moment. So we're missing these two black columns that are slightly shorter than the main fill. So I wonder if, I think what I was doing before was I was filling in the whole thing and then I was drawing the corner pixels over the top. It's confusing. Was it? That seemed a bit strange. Maybe we just want to save that and that and watch the same down here. What did that just used to say? I can't remember. Curses. Right, so let me just plus 1. Your size will need to be 1 larger. Yeah, that was correct. Okay. You're probably fine, but to get that edge one, that's now going to have drawn over the top of the corners. So we'll need to rearrange the code to put those back in again. So it looks like the right hand side is now correct, but now I've broken the left. Yeah, off the screen, damn it. Quit. There we go. It'd be nice to make that quit shortcut work properly on the briefing as well. Right, back to Aseprite again. Reload. Oh no, I see what's happening. Okay. So, yeah, the size of the left-hand one needs to be 1 pixel wider. That's strange. That kind of implies that the right-hand side one isn't drawing in the right place. Maybe I don't care. Probably do, but I can care about it later. Okay, then I want to put those after that. So actually let's put that first, then we'll draw all the lines and everything else over the top. And then we will do the same with this guy. Good grief, it's still wrong. Quit. There we go. To be fair, that is the wrong pixel. Because it's not the left-hand pixel, it's the first pixel. In fact, it's not even that. Oh yes it is, sorry. It's the first pixel, so back to the code. Fill rect of top left X, that should not be right. Oh, this is drawbox right. Yeah. Oh, look at that one. Right. That is correct, but it doesn't look right. Does it? It's right. I'm going to say that's just pixel too short. It's already on size X. And if it's already starting from one pixel to the right, that should be one pixel less than that anyway. Oh god, right. We're only drawing 3 columns, so that box can only be 2 columns wide. Size X. Size is 3, so that should be size X minus 1. Why isn't it? Very strange. I'm actually tempted, just temporarily, to switch off the right hand one, because I want to see just what that left hand box on its own looks like. Excuse me. Might actually quit that time. Right, now. The sprite is there. Reopen. Okay. On the screen at the same time. So, drawbox left. Drawbox left, drawbox left. There it is. That is correct. Nope, that's all fine. Those corner bits are all fine. You. top left X. Well, I'm assuming, but we're passing in 3 as the size of the box, aren't we? It is explicit. Door. Yes. Left size is 3. No arguing with that. Top left must be right because everything's based off top left. So if top left was wrong, the entire thing would be wrong the same way. So we are 1 column to the right. And we are supposed to be drawing 2 pixels. That says to me that FillRect is broken. Or at least has an issue where it's off by 1 occasionally. First D word separately, if not a full word. What about the last D word? What about the last D word, eh? Width is more than or equal to 4. Oh, okay, we're doing it here. So, it wouldn't be more than or equal to 4. It would be 2, wouldn't it? Size minus 1, just 2. So that's 2. The X. I guess that works because it draws the first column. It's not more than or equal to 4, so I'm going to skip that. It's still more than 0, so it's 2. Yeah, we're subtracting from width as we go. In plane mask. I don't know if this is correct. Tell you what, we can prove it either way. We can just say, we can put that back in again and see if that column fills in. I bet it doesn't.
I know a way you can upgrade your operating system, and you don't have to wait 7 light years. You don't even have to wait 7 months.
How do you do
And
it?
it's the 3rd generation, like me. So it must be really good.
That's right.
Must be
It's
really
OS2
good.
Warp, the next generation operating system.
No, I must get it installed. I have done once. Do it, DOSBox X. Go. Skip. Okay, restart. Give me a screenshot. That is still wrong. Oh, no. I think I've got a bug in the build rect code. And then that goes. Oh no, that's because it's got a 250 millisecond delay in it. That's why that goes weird. Okay, fine. Please go away. There we go. Oh, I really don't want to have to look into that code because I don't want to have to deal with planes at this time of day. Oh Lord. Right, okay. So, yeah, if X mask for offset X width. Is that going to happen? I think it probably is. Let's find out. We know what the X is because it's top left. We pass it in. Draw. Okay, top box top left. What is that? There it is. It's 10. That's not a multiple of 4. Runs, Chief. Right. What does that mean? So we're going to say get the plane mask for X width. Is it that that's broken? Where else are we using that? Because if this is the only place we're using it, it's probably that that's broken. This is the only place we're using it. Oh, no, it's not. Is it? Yeah, it is. It is. Oh, gold. Alright. Video get plane mask for offset. That is probably inlined. Get plane mask. There it is. Right. What's coming in here? X is 10. XM3 is certainly not equal to 0. Get plane mask for offset 10 2. Offset M3. Where's my calculator? I'm sure I could work this out if I was paying attention, but you know. 10 and 3. Why, that's a 2. Yeah, it would be, wouldn't it? Not 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, it wouldn't. It would be a 3. Are these numbers all off by 1? If the offset was 0, we would be aligned. If the offset was 1, we'd have to draw 3 pixels. If the offset was 2, we'd only have to draw 2 pixels. Now this does seem correct, actually. 10. Yeah, it is 2. Okay, fine. We write that pixel. If the width is more than or equal to 2, we also write the second pixel. That seems correct to me. So that's going to say write P2 and write P3. Is that the right plane? P2, P3. And then draw. If width is more than 4, it's not, so width is now 0. Move on to the next word. If there are any other words, they're not, so we skip out. That code seems right to me. Why does that not work? Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Is it actually 10? Down the bottom. Top box appearing, it would be 10. Passing that in, okay, and then we go to draw box left. Draw box left. It's not 10, it's 11. Okay. That is 11. And size x is 3 minus 1, which is 2. That's definitely right. Okay, so 11 and 3 is 3. Should have really known that, but yeah. So get plane mask for offset 11, 2. Offset's 3. We only write 1 pixel. This maths does seem wrong. Is it, if it's column 11, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11. Okay, right. So no, I see. So yeah, so it would be a single column of this set of 4. That is correct. Then, right, so it's this that's incorrect then. Upsetting. If we've got more than a word's worth to draw, then just subtract however many we've just done. Otherwise set it to 0. Can we not just do that in all cases? Does that do the wrong thing? If width is more than 4, what if it's not more than 4? If it's 2, 4 minus 2, yeah, that probably would be wrong. It's 4. No, hang on, yeah, that's correct. 4 minus x and 3. X and 3 would get you 3. So 4 minus 3, 1. With minus equals 1, that would take us down to 1. I think that would be correct. Get rid of all that. And then hopefully that would then be caught by that at the end. My Coke's run out. I'll have to stop soon. I'll get this fixed first though. Watch this obliterate video memory. That looks about right actually. Quit. Here we go. Back to A sprite. Zoink. Close that one. Reopen that one. Yeah, that's right. Nice. Okay. We fixed a bug that's been there forever. Okay. That is worth checking in before we carry on. Fixed, unlocked, incorrect widths. Excuse me. Okay, back to dialogue then, because now we can re-enable the right-hand box. Let's see what that looks like. I've got too many windows open, can't find anything. Okay. Still can't find anything. Where's that window gone? There it is. Oh, I've left the... Okay, that's fine. I've left the horrible delay in, so it'll be a very slow animation, but it is doing the right thing. Cool. And then the bottom one's using the old animation, but yeah, anyway. The box itself works, so that's cool. Yes, the next thing to do then would be the bottom box as well. Now we see at that point. That's the other thing we need to do is that's animated the top box on. And then from this point on, we no longer need to draw the top box again. Shouldn't be doing anything at that point. And then, yeah, the animating off will be a total different thing. Bottom box appearing will be very similar to top box appearing. Yep. Well, do you know what? Look. That's still fine, and then the... Actually, no, that's not, is it? What do you mean? I need to do something about that. Subtract top right this size. We want to say something very similar to this. If this is the first frame of the thing appearing, then we want the right-hand side, the right-hand edge of the box drawn, which is that guy? No, that's the top right. Right, that's exactly what that is. Size. How are we dealing with? Yeah, size is just 3. What am I doing? Oh. Let's subtract what size is that right? We're subtracting. That's not right. Yeah, okay, no, screw that. I'm going to say left post is top right x minus size dot x dot right dot y. In fact, whoops, hello. What size is that? Draw that left pos. Left pos? You don't mean left pos, you mean right pos. That's the first frame. So right size X, which we just set there. And then having done that, then we want to draw the rest of the box. That's not right, is it? Oh no, it is, because it's 3. Sorry, I was thinking wrong size. Okay. And all that's left then is top, top right, no, top right minus that size. Yeah, okay. Oh, it's getting cold in here. Yeah, dot x minus size dot x. And that one. And 2 left size equals size dot x minus 3. Okay. We have false no sense. And then we're done. Go to the next stage. Well, okay. Looks about right. Do we need any of these values? Probably fine. Okay. Screenshot the right bit of animation this time. Not that bit, because that's fine. Oh, we're going to have to watch all the text appear. We should be able to skip that. No. Come on, man. There we go. What is going on at the bottom? Damn it, I skipped too many states. That's, yeah, because of the timing making that a bit fiddly. Quit. Oh. Okay, new plan on the timing. Let's only do that during the states that we care about. Like bottom box appearing. Next. So this first box will animate in normally. Wow, vastly too quickly in fact. And then that lower box is all over the shop. Okay, obviously the height is completely wrong, or the Y position rather. You know, immediately clear Y. Right. Side. Oh. Peeky? Whatever. Position is top right, top right. Is that not correct? Sure, it doesn't appear to be. So top right Y is all the way down there. Why is that? Why is that? Anyway. This is a bit weird in itself. The top right of the bottom dialog box is the top left of the top one. Oh no, it's not. That's the bottom box top left. Ugh. To which I'm adding the size of the dialog, which surely includes the height. So of course that's wrong. What did that code used to say? I don't remember changing that line. Source control. What do you say? Briefing. Nope, I mean dialogue. Skip. Top right X. Top right Y. I do not understand how that ever... Oh my word. Right, I see. We used to subtract the size from that after we... okay, fine. Somewhat grisly code. I mean, you just mean the width anyway. I think that this was just a desperation to use a function rather than doing it this way, which is fine. What's x plus Allen box x, and then the y is just u. Allen box left y. Done. I'd at least ought to put it in the right place. And right height. But then it looked like it was also I don't know that I saw the right hand edge of it drawn at all. So let's get rid of this. So we only draw the right hand edge. What size is 3? And that height. Right position is the right hand side -3 to right y. That should be fine. It's running. Jibus. I assume it managed to overwrite the exit there. Zoom that out. Yeah, that's not visible at all. That's not rendering anything. And there's the text. Get off the screen. Yes, off the screen. Yes, off the screen. There we go. Now it's in the game now. Go away. Stop doing that. Back to the code. Right. So... yeah, it's not going to be that. Draw box right of that position and 3 pixels wide isn't getting us anything. That is presumably an issue here. Again, no, that looks fine to me. That's a little strange because you'd only get 1 pixel rather than 3. It's not necessarily wrong. Is there anything wrong with that? Is it not getting in here? That's brilliant. I don't need to look at it here. This isn't 86 blocks. We're going to put it over here. If I can find it. There it is. I am not seeing that line. That's a little odd. What did I write? Bottom box bearing. Bottom. That doesn't fit. Target screen, front end, and then there's briefing. Okay, so the log's up to date, but it just didn't print out. 6 state frames was never 0. What the? State frames. Not given an initial value, which is a little strange. Oh, there it is. When we set the state, it goes to 0. That's the text appearing there, that's a different one. I'd also quite like to disable that anyway. How does it get incremented? How did that go back around? No. There it is. It should certainly be 0 there. I'm confused by this. Right, what's going on here? Box pairing. Once we've reached that, we call set state. That is going to reset state frames. Here. You're going to finish. You're going to call set state. That's going to reset state frames. That's going to put us here. We're going to come in here. We're going to go state frames to 0. We're going to do that. Paranoid check. I think it was an integer. Okay. Roll this down, skip through, and then we'll quit there. Stop doing that. Go back to the log. State frames, 1. How is it never 0? Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, it's blatantly obvious. It's never going to be 0, is it? Yeah, because we're brought right. Doi. The increment is at the bottom of the function. That's why. So the set state, you'd have to return after the set state to prevent the frame incrementing. Because I can't just put it at the top of the function because it's still going to hit it. I mean, crikey, do we set it to -1? That just seems like the most gruesome hack. Fine. We will do it a slightly less but still moderately gross way. Okay. Get rid of that and that. Okay, there we go. We've got the right-hand edge of a box. That's what we wanted. Quit, 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 quit. Please quit. There we go. No, we still haven't quit. There we go. Back to there. Right. Now switch this back on again. Oh, this is not going to work first time. Not going to do anything with this. Check the door is still sat in a cardboard box. Fair enough. Cats really do love cardboard boxes. The meme is true. Oh, there we go. Very nice. Of course, the problem now is it's animating far too fast when we take the delay out. So yeah, okay. Quit, 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 quit. Stop that. So what we need to do then is we need to go back to breathing and we need to say if the back buffer is enabled then we can swap the buffers, otherwise we don't have to wait for the VSync anyway. Because otherwise it's all going to animate far too quickly. Let's just test that out of interest. Well, there we go. Okay. Well, it even let me quit. It was nice. Okay. What else do I want to do? The text will need, the text rendering will need re-rating. We're also not drawing the portraits. Get rid of all that. So they happen currently, or they used to happen in Dropbox. No. draw top box and draw bottom box, right? Yes, okay. Include text. What is going on here? Oh, of course, that's right. We have to do extra pixels around the corners of the portraits to make them fit in. So, ignoring the draw box call, I mean, it's got a terrible name. Draw top box, as long as we set that to be false. Do the same with draw bottom box. Then draw. It's going to be the last state frame, excuse me. It's going to be draw box. We can take that layout. Draw bottom box. False. That function has a terrible name. Both of them do. At least, given what they now do. I've lost both of them. There they are. Should really just say draw top portrait. And that should go. Oops. Oh yeah, that was when I was trying to like do static over the portrait. Yeah, that never worked. Certainly isn't going to work on a 386. Yeah, screw it. Let's go in. Or bottom portrait. Left them in. Oh, is there still a parameter on draw bottom portrait? Did I not take it out? Have you just switched that computer on again, you pesky cat? Get moving. Thank you. Oh, who'd have a cat, I ask you? Gonna replace her with a pet rock. Ain't I? I'll take you back to the cat shop. Yes, we are. Oh, we won't all right. There was another reference to Dropbox somewhere. Well, it's not that one. Oh, it's not that one then. Right, okay, fine. We'll just comment that out. And again, and again. Is that it, or is the one in bottom box text appearing? Okay, fine. Build again. What we should also be doing is we should probably be testing this in 86 box, where the performance is terrible, because it should be a bit better now. In fact, I'll go as far as to say it should be a lot better, at least for those little bits of animation that we've changed. It'll probably flicker horribly in the rest of it, but one step at a time, Martin. Oh. That's doing all right, then. even without changing the text rendering code. That's an issue. And now everything's disappeared for some reason. And now it's back again. So we've definitely still got some bugs here, but then I am in the middle of rewriting it, so it's not terribly surprising. But what's cool is the double buffer is disabled through that whole thing. And it didn't flicker at all, which means all the rendering's much faster. Which it ought to be, because we're no longer constantly drawing big black boxes on the screen. Right. There was one other thing I wanted to do. I'm not going to get time to finish that whole screen today. But one thing that kept driving me a bit mad today is every time we change state, there we go, this line of code that I changed, I think on Wednesday. And it still has a very subtle, if not bug, then sort of miss feature, which is, because of lazy evaluation, it's going to fade the music out first, and then it's going to fade the palette, which is not what we want. We want it doing both at the same time. So... you return. What do you return? Assume you're returning a value when it's not done. Is that the way around? Palette. It's a bull, okay. And if anything changed, you return true. Okay, so that would be palette faded would be not that. So if music fades and palette faded, and break. Okay, let's give that a go. I should have checked in before I did that, but never mind. Boink. That's nicer. Instant fade now. Not that you can tell on the stream, but there was a bit of a delay and it was annoying me. That's all good, and then we come in there, that's instant fade as well. And then that's still animating fine. Right. Quit. Oh, it even worked. There we go. Right. Let me check this login. What have I done? What have I done? Throw that file away because we don't need it. Throw that file away because we don't need that either. We want that one, and that one, and that one, and that one. Okay. Work in progress. Remove one briefing, and then that bug what I've just fixed. Also fixed. Also made music and palette fade happen at the same time. predicament. Alright, and I think we will probably leave it there. I don't want to do a raid tonight. I do, however, want to go and get some chicken. So I'm probably going to do that. Yeah. Thank you for joining me. And I will maybe see you on Sunday. Or otherwise next week at some point. Ta-ta!